but welcome to Plant-Based Pregnancy and Parenting, the live Q&A. We are sponsored by the Pregnancy Advantage, and you can find our website at pregnancyadvantage.net, where we are helping women to get their bodies pregnant ready, or help if you're having trouble conceiving, especially before you go down that in vitro fertilization rabbit hole. Tonight, we're going to be discussing supplements, exercise, and some recipes. And let me introduce Dr. Deborah Shapiro. She's a plant-based OBGYN and certified in lifestyle medicine. You can connect with her on our website, anewviewoffood.com. And I am Jeanne Schumacher, co-founder of the Pregnancy Advantage, and you can find lots of resources to live plant-based and toxic-free at simplyplantbased.net. So, Dr. Shapiro, how are you tonight?
Excellent. Thanks for setting this up. This is going to be lots of fun, right?
Yeah, I always love talking to you because I always learn so much, truly.
Oh, I feel the same.
So let's dive into supplements. So what do you want to talk about?
I thought it might be fun just to go through the alphabet, and because I was thinking about the different supplements and the different vitamins and minerals and things that we think are elements of concern, and just sort of tick them off, and just, if there are any little pearls of wisdom about them, I think we could just get to them. So that was what I was thinking about. And since the Pregnancy Advantage is really about preparing for pregnancy, there are little changes during pregnancy and also for breastfeeding, but we'll start with, and I don't know if most of the people on this page are already pregnant, or maybe they're already nursing, so we'll try to address all of that. There are two great resources, besides, of course, Jeanne's site and mine, A New View of Food, but really, one is Brenda Davis's book, which is called Becoming Vegan. If you don't have it, get it. Becoming Vegan, the comprehensive edition. There's another edition too, but I like the comprehensive edition by Brenda Davis, just an angel, and Vicento Molina. They're wonderful plant-based dietitians. And then the other new book that Brenda Davis just did with Reshma Shah, Dr. Reshma Shah, who's a pediatrician, plant-based pediatrician, and that's called Nourish. And Nourish is also an amazing book about raising plant-based kids. This book is fabulous. So Nourish, it's the definitive plant-based nutrition guide for families. Really great. So with that, why don't we just sort of go through a few, let's just go down the list, the alphabet, okay? So vitamin A. So do not take vitamin A. There's always a little bit of vitamin A and some prenatal vitamins, but don't take extra vitamin A. Actually, the form that we get vitamin A from, that's a healthier form, is beta carotene, but it's not just beta carotene. You don't just want to take beta carotene. You just want to eat lots of orange and yellow vegetables that have carotenoids. So, right? Okay. So, and actually there've been studies when they thought that, that beta carotene was going to be really good for people with lung cancer. And they did a study where they put people with lung cancer on beta carotene. They actually had more progression of their cancer. And so they realized you can't just, and this is huge for the supplement industry, you can't just take a whole bunch of one thing, right? So get most of your nutrients from food, but still, as we'll go down, you'll see that.
Yes. And I just want to throw that out in the book Whole by T. Colin Campbell. He talks about this in terms of taking nutrients out of their context, and it's not a good idea. And it's kind of like a symphony, like all the nutrients interact and work together, in an amazing synergy. So if you haven't read this book Whole, I strongly recommend it. It really helps you to understand about supplements and vitamins.
Yes. And I just heard T. Colin Campbell give a lecture at the most recent International Plant-Based Nutrition Healthcare Conference. He's been studying plant-based nutrition and nutrition science for over 60 years. The man is so brilliant. He's still brilliant. And he was talking about that and reminding of this. So vitamin A, you don't have to worry about it. Just eat your colors. Okay. Eat all the colors. B. Now the B vitamins are a whole bunch of B vitamins. Everything from, B1, niacin, blah, blah, blah. The B vitamin, most of the B vitamins we get also from whole intact grains, from whole grains. So when you eat, and one of the major things that's wrong with our diet is that we eat too many refined grains. These are those snack cakes, things that I grew up eating all the time. Everything from those, apple turnovers and just all the refined grains. Move away from those if you can, and instead eat whole intact grains. And if you have an Instant Pot, and I know Jeanne has 2 Instant Pots because they're going all the time, then you can make wonderful, wonderful grains. And I've never enjoyed grains so much since I got the Instant Pot. I don't think I knew about things like rye berries and sorghum and spelt and kamut. And these are just fabulous, fabulous grains, and they taste delicious. And that's where you get a lot of your B vitamin. One of the problems with deciding to eat gluten-free, which a lot of people do, even though really only 1% of the population has actually a true celiac disease. Some people are gluten sensitive or have a wheat allergy, but there are a lot of people who just think they're going to be healthier to be gluten-free. You're actually not going to be healthier gluten-free because you miss out on all these wonderful grains and all the vitamins and minerals and fiber that are in grains, B vitamins. But that being said, folate is B9, and folate is a very important nutrient of concern for the baby's brain and spinal cord. And you really need to take that extra folate before you get pregnant. So they recommend, like trying to get a prenatal vitamin that has 600 extra micrograms, 600 micrograms of folate. And it can be folate, where they say DFE or folic acid equivalent, or you can take folic acid, but don't take too much folic acid, because you can definitely overdose on folic acid. Folic acid could also lead to more cancers down the line. So folate is really a safer form. The ACOG, the American College of OBGYN, still recommends 800 micrograms of folic acid, or 600 to 800 micrograms of folic acid. But I think, 400 before, 600 during pregnancy, 500 when you're breastfeeding, that's the way it goes. Folate. So that's one of the B vitamins. So B12, you cannot argue with me about B12. And I've talked to vegans who do argue. They say, oh, it takes years to be deficient, blah, 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 blah. But if you do, it could be permanent nerve damage. So don't play around with it. First of all, even I think the Institute of Medicine recommends anyone over 50 should be, no matter what they eat, even if they eat steak and potatoes, they should be taking B12 supplement. So you need B12. And the problem is, it sounds like we just need a tiny pinch of B12, like 2.4 when you're not pregnant, 2.6 when you're pregnant, micrograms. But we don't absorb very much. So in your vitamins, if you get a prenatal vitamin, you look, it's going to say 2.6 micrograms. That's not enough. So take 1,000 micrograms of either methylcobalamin or cyanocobalamin twice a week, or 2,000 micrograms a week. And the reason you want to get one like Nature Made, it's USP certified. You take it on its own, you put it under your tongue, it mixes with these transport proteins in your saliva, and it's very well absorbed. I just do it once a week. They're very nice little tablets. You put them under your tongue, and just 2 a week. It's 2,000 micrograms, and that's all I do. And then I'm fine. You can take a little in your vitamins, but don't rely on that. I take it separately because other things can interfere with absorption of B12.
Garden of Eden, that's my favorite.
Oh, that's okay. Okay. And Gregor likes Nature Made, but it's fine. Garden of Eden, I'm sure it's fine. B12, they put B12 in the feed of animals now. So don't think, that's, a lot of people will say, see, vegan diet, it's not complete because you have to take these vitamins. But that is not an argument, because they actually supplement a lot of these animals' feed with these vitamins. So
because they used to get it's a bacteria. And then
yes,
the animals would get it by eating grass that had bacteria on it that had the B12, and they would eat that. But no longer are the animals eating grass. So even people that are not plant-based, they're deficient now, starting to get
yes.
deficient.
And we have bacteria in our colons that make B12 too, but it's absorbed higher up. So, and I don't recommend you eat your feces. Okay. So
No.
And we boil our water. I mean, it used to be in the streams, but now you could get cholera. So, I mean, it's a different world. So just take your B12, don't argue with anyone, and just take it. So the next is calcium. So you need 1,000 milligrams of calcium. You need 1,000 milligrams before you're pregnant, during you're pregnant, after pregnancy, you just need 1,000. When you're a teenager, you actually need to bump it up a little bit. Actually, I think like a 12-year-old might need 1,300 milligrams of calcium, because they're really building those bones. But for the purpose of our discussion, it's 1,000 milligrams. And if you can't get it from beans and greens, then have a little bit of plant milk. It's fine to have. I just made a cacao milk, like a cacao milk thing with the almond milk. I didn't really like the taste of the almond milk, but it had lots of calcium. So I was thinking, how am I going to get that down my throat? So I added some cacao powder and a few dates and some pumpkin pie spice. And a few like a little bit of spice, like spicy walnuts that I bought. That really good. And I made this, and it had ground flax. So ground flax and walnuts. So I got my omega-3s, and it was delicious. Put in the Vitamix, whirled it all up, and it was a wonderful, wonderful chocolate. Dates for sweetening. It was terrific. And I got lots and lots of calcium, plus, well, the omega-3. So we'll talk about that. So get your calcium either from a plant milk or a fortified plant milk or
greens.
Yeah.
I get mine in my smoothie. I have my morning smoothie. Dr. David Jeanne talks about that, and he's done research on this, the Life Smoothie, it's called. And oh my gosh, I mean, this is a powerhouse of greens. And I've even noticed my bone density has been going up because of this. So I have a scale that measures the amount of this. So
are you using a fortified plant milk plus greens?
Not really. I don't even, I use just a smidgen. He says in the recipe to use like a half a cup of almond milk, but I'm not even using that because the greens, oh my God, like the green, you're getting so much calcium from the greens.
Excellent. Crazy. Excellent. So now spinach is not the best calcium source, right? Because it has high oxalate, so it holds onto its calcium. But collard greens are very, very high, and kale. Yeah. So the low oxalate greens,
right?
Not the chard and the spinach.
And coming soon, I'm doing a video with Dr. David Jeanne on oxalates. So if you're not on my YouTube channel, do check that out. I'm going to be doing a YouTube channel or a video with him on oxalates, because that's one of the biggest questions that we get, talking about the smoothie, that and the amount of sugar in the smoothie, from like fruit. Is that a problem, especially for people like diabetic, so we're going to be talking about that. So coming soon, so be on the lookout.
Excellent. As a spoiler, fruit is not a problem for diabetics, right?
Spoiler. Yeah. You got
it. So maybe watermelon. I mean, I think that's pretty high, but okay, back to C's, right? So vitamin C after calcium, we could just talk about vitamin C. It is heat sensitive. So if you're getting your vitamin C from vegetables, and they are in greens and vegetables, all vegetables, but if you're only eating cooked vegetables, it might be low. So make sure you eat some raw vegetables. Okay. Right. But in general, fruits and vegetables, you're going to get plenty of vitamin C. I don't think you need to take any vitamin C.
I get mine from the amla powder.
Oh, right. Yeah, amla, right.
I mean, that's the Indian gooseberry that I put that in my smoothie, and boom, has one of the highest antioxidants that's out there.
It is. It is the highest unusual antioxidant containing food. It's Indian gooseberry, amla, AMLA. Great for your blood sugar too.
Correct.
It's an anti-inflammatory. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't have too much in pregnancy, because just like we don't recommend taking ibuprofen because it's an anti-inflammatory, and there's a part of the baby's heart that needs to stay open, and it would close if you gave them a lot of these anti-inflammatory medications, at least. So theoretically, I don't think you should overdo it. Like, don't have teaspoons of it, but you could certainly have a quarter of a teaspoon of amla every day, or maybe even a half.
Yeah.
Okay. And I know in India, it's part of their diets.
Yeah.
So I think it's
Indian gooseberry. It's amazing.
Indian gooseberry.
So let's switch the topic now, because we only have a few more minutes, and we wanted to talk about exercise. For me, the go-to is yoga. And there's an amazing website called Do Yoga With Me. And if you've not tried this, you can doyogawithme.com. A lot of the classes are free, but they have a subscription. It's like $10 a month. It's not, nothing. And one of the cool things about this is that you can choose the different types of yoga. There's different instructors. There's different levels. You can start from beginning, mid, intermediate, advanced. And let me tell you, it's quite a workout. And even if like for example, like yoga before I go to bed, there's that, or there's to calm you down, to de-stress, to, help to, if your back is having problems or whatever your issues is, there's going to be a yoga class for it. So I really recommend that, especially when you're either pregnant, because you really need to have a good solid core when you're pregnant. Just saying. I mean, they don't call it labor for nothing. So, that is one of my go-tos, and it really helps to de-stress, because let me just tell you, when you have small children, there's a lot of stress involved. There's a lot of stress. I mean, you're not sleeping as much because you got kids waking up, babies, you're breastfeeding, and just all of these things. So if you can carve out a time, I know it's not the easiest thing to do. I remember going into the bathroom and I had little fingers underneath the door, coming in, going after me, mommy, mommy. You'd open the door and there's the dog, the cat, the two kids, going, what are you doing? Oh, so I get it, but if you can do something like that, well, let's talk about, those types of exercise.
Yoga is a fabulous exercise. It's all through pregnancy and before too. And, part of Dr. Dean Ornish's his program that he has, both for reversing heart disease but he showed that also reverses prostate cancer, and he's working now on Alzheimer's. It always includes an hour of stress reduction every day. There's a whole food plant-based diet. There's a low-fat whole food plant-based diet. There's stress reduction, either yoga or meditation for an hour a day, and exercise in addition. But his exercise, it's 30 minutes, 5 days a week. And a support group. And he gets incredible results. So this is a great sort of formula that anyone can take advantage of. So even if you just walked briskly for 30 minutes a day and you did some yoga or meditation, something for stress reduction, it would be very, very beneficial. They actually show that meditation can change your epigenetics, can change can turn on certain genes and turn off certain genes. It can have an effect that's going to be passed down the line. Right. To your children and your grandchildren. So exercise is extremely important and important for your fertility as well. So if you could do some actual even more aerobic, get your heart rate up a few days a week before pregnancy, that would be excellent. During pregnancy, do what you normally do. But if you are normally a couch potato, then it's always a good idea to do something, even if it's just walking 30 minutes a day, 5 days a week would be great.
Well, I just want to share, because people had asked, because we did a poll in the group and we asked what people wanted to talk about. And we'll continue talking about vitamins next week. We're going to start doing this on a weekly basis. So please join us live in the group. And then you can ask us questions if you'd like. But I'd like to share a recipe. This recipe came about because I had zucchini. I had a plethora from the garden and I just needed to use it up. And I'm like, and it was one of those just before grocery shopping. And you're like, what else can I use up, before I go grocery shopping? And I had a big batch of chickpeas and I had a bunch of onions. And I'm like, what else can I put in there? So I started out by sauteing some onions, red and yellow onions, because again, the more that you can increase your colors, the more phytonutrients that you're going to get. Okay, fine. So I started off with dry saute some onions, red and yellow. And then I added 2 zucchinis. I cut them up and into just quarter chunks, kind of like thick, maybe a quarter inch, third of an inch thick. And then I added one of the cans of the Muir Glen fire roasted tomatoes. Now, those are hard to find salt-free, okay, because you really want to go salt-free as much as humanly possible because it's difficult in this day and age. And when I find these, I wipe out the shelf because they're hard to find. But you can use any kind of tomato, chopped up tomatoes kind of thing. Then I took like about the equivalent of 1 can of chickpeas and the liquid that goes with it. And I just poured the chickpeas and the liquid, 1 can, boom, done. And a tablespoon of Italian seasonings. I just sprinkled that on top. And then 2 teaspoons of garlic powder or granules on that. And then here's the magic ingredients. It's called bear spice. And that is, oh my God, it's a Mediterranean spice that just gives such a rich flavor and absolutely amazing. And you can get them at like Whole Foods or you can get them on Amazon, but it's a blend of spices, that is just phenomenal. And that has become a huge staple for me. This recipe, I call it Simply Chickpea Delight, and I'll post the recipe in the Facebook group. So Deborah?
That's terrific. Yeah. I would have that on a bed of mixed greens. I always, whenever I'm eating, I always put it on a couple of handfuls of some of those power greens. Right. Any kind of greens, whatever you have, just put everything on some greens. Get some more Greens by Any Means. I think there's even a website called Greens by Any Means. She got it. But it's so thank you for being here. I hope this was helpful. Let us know. You can always reach out to me, anewviewoffood.com. I do have a free book, an ebook, Why Eat Plants, which may be something you do or don't need, but maybe someone needs it. And Love to meet you.
Yeah. And if you have any questions, you can post us and tag. We'll probably do another poll next week to see what you guys would like to hear about. So we'll continue on the vitamins and the supplements, and we'll go from there. So Deborah, thank you. Always a pleasure
Thank you.
connecting with you.